Hello everyone, I'm Jason and today I'll be doing the homework exercises from the first lesson in the Drawabox course. Lesson 1 is called Lines, Ellipses and Boxes, and each of these three sections have their own set of homework exercises. For now, I'll start with the Lines homework. Uncomfortable, the creator of the Drawabox course, prescribed three different exercises for this section, and the one you see me doing now is called the Superimposed Lines exercise. The full instructions on how to do this exercise is on the Drawabox website, but the main idea of it is to first draw a line using a ruler and then try to go over it 8 times, freehand. And for this exercise, we're supposed to go on until we fill up 2 whole pages of superimposed lines. One of the things that Uncomfortable emphasized for doing this exercise was to draw from your shoulder instead of your wrist or your elbow. And since I'm not entirely used to that yet, you can see that my lines were not very accurate. From the left to right, you can see that most of my 8 lines were fraying on the right side and not exactly traveling on top of the existing initial line. So as I'm starting out, I'm using short lines, but once I move down and get more warmed up, I'll start to use longer lines that will eventually span the whole width of the page. And one of the main issues that I faced while doing this exercise was that I wasn't really able to see the underlying line. It's because I'm right-handed, and since I'm drawing the line from left to right, my hand will always be in the way and I won't really know when to stop my pen. So now I'm just gonna speed up the footage so you can see the first fully filled page of superimposed lines. Okay, so that was one full page of superimposed lines. And for the second page, instead of just straight lines, I'll be doing arcs instead. And arcs are significantly more difficult than doing straight lines, especially when the arc is curving towards my body, because this is a very unnatural movement for me, and yeah, I tend to do much worse for these type of arcs. And once I've done a few arcs, I move on to doing some waves instead. Yeah, and this is even more difficult than doing arcs. And unlike a straight line, you can't really draw an accurate line without actually looking at the underlying line. So since my hand is always in the way, it's really difficult for me to do it properly. But regardless, I just continue with the exercise until I filled up this second page with more arcs and waves. The next exercise in the line section is called the Ghosted Lines exercise. And once again, the full instructions are on the Drawabox website. But the way you do this exercise is to first mark 2 points on the paper, which is to be your start and end points. Your goal is to draw a line that connects both of these points. However, the catch is that you need to ghost the lines before drawing them. What I mean by ghosting the lines is to mimic the arm movement of actually drawing the line without actually putting your pen onto the paper, as you see me doing here. And after ghosting a few times, I will commit and put my pen to the paper. What this actually does is to build up your muscle memory of drawing straight lines and also drawing from the shoulder. One of the things that Uncomfortable recommends while doing this exercise is to rotate your page. So by rotating your page, you get to draw the line at the same angle every time, and this really helps to build up that muscle memory. From doing this exercise, I learned that it's actually quite difficult to stop at the end point. I'm always coming just a bit short or going over, and not only that, I'm also trying to keep the line moving in the correct trajectory. Although this exercise may seem simple, but it's actually quite an important skill to learn. This is because Uncomfortable will always be telling you to use this ghosting method to draw your straight lines and even your shapes in the upcoming lectures. But overall, this exercise is not a difficult one, and you only need to do one full page of this. So once I filled up the page, then I move on to the next exercise. The last exercise, the ghosted planes exercise, is really just a more difficult version of the ghosted lines exercise. Instead of just drawing straight lines using the ghosting method, Uncomfortable has you drawing planes instead. And just like doing the ghosted lines exercise, you start out by placing your points on the paper. But this time you put 4 instead of just 2, 1 for each corner of the plane. And after that, you will join each of these points using the ghosting method. And then you'll have a basic plane. But we're not done yet. Once you have the plane, you still need to draw an additional 4 lines through the plane to yield this window shape. Ideally, all 4 of these lines should be intersecting at the midpoint, but usually this is not the case because most of your lines aren't going to be perfectly straight. I really underestimated the time needed to draw these planes. It took me more than 20 minutes to complete the 2 pages that were required, but I guess it really depends on how big your planes are and whether you really take your time when ghosting the lines. I went back to count the number of planes that I drew, and I actually did 35 planes. And since each plane is actually made up of 8 lines, that actually totals up to 280 ghosted lines. By the time I was finished, my shoulder was so sore because drawing from the shoulder is just so new to me. Alright, so now I'll let you enjoy the remaining footage of me finishing up this exercise. So that was the 3 exercises in the lines section of lesson 1, and I hope you learned something from watching me attempt them. I'll definitely be showing the remaining parts of the lesson, the ellipses and boxes section, in my upcoming videos, so stay tuned for that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.